Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Getz and I'm a planner with Macola Development Services. Thank you for joining me today to discuss the Strathcona Regional District Housing Needs Report and preliminary findings for Electoral Area B. Before we begin, I just wanted to acknowledge with respect the many nations and traditional territories within which this study is taking place, including the Edelsit First Nation, Hamalko First Nation, Kayukit Checklisset First Nation, Klahoose First Nation, Comox First Nation, Mauchat Muchalat First Nation, the Nuchalnis Tribes, Klawitsis First Nation, Wee-Wai-Kay First Nation, and Wee-Wai-Kum First Nation. For this presentation, I'll go through a quick project overview, discuss the preliminary findings, review what comes next in the process, and let you know how you can contribute to this project. So first, just quickly a bit about us, Macola Development Services. We are a professional consulting firm of about 20 staff, including planners, development managers, and experts in Indigenous relations and communication. We have over 30 years of experience in both the market and non-market housing sector now. Most of our projects are in affordable housing development, but we have been doing housing needs assessments for municipalities and regional districts across BC as well for the last 3 years now. So the goals and objectives for the study are first and foremost to meet all provincial requirements. So in 2019, the provincial government passed some legislation requiring all municipalities, including electoral areas, to produce a housing needs assessment. So as part of these requirements, our report includes some quantitative data, and also some significant community engagement work. At the end of the study, we will be providing some high-level recommendations and sharing the results with the board and the public. And just a note that this study does not include Campbell River or any of the treaty nations. It is only the electoral areas. Okay, so what to expect? So what is this report about? It's about what's happening currently in the area. So it'll include demographic information, info on households, the economy, and housing affordability. It'll also include who are experiencing these housing challenges, so which income and population groups, and this has been incorporated based on our engagement data and an affordability analysis. Not in this report is sort of the next step piece, or what can be done now that we have this information. So this would include where new housing should go, or the form or density it should take. And this is really more up to the SRD and electoral areas to decide. This is most often done through OCP or rezoning bylaw updates, partnerships, and community education. So the study area is all of the rural areas in the Strathcona Regional District, and I've highlighted here on this map Area B, because that is what this presentation is on. And just a note that any information provided in this presentation, unless otherwise specified, is from Census Canada data for Electoral Area B or from a community member of Electoral Area B. So just briefly going over the population and household statistics for Area B, you can see that in the last 10 years, the population and number of households has increased marginally, and this growth is expected to continue on through to 2031. So in 2016, you can see that the number of people was 1,070, and this is expected to increase to be 1,125 people by 2031. And this increase is similar, we're seeing a similar increase in households. In 2016, there were 535 households, and in 2031, there's expected to be 575 households. So households are slightly outpacing number of people, as in 2016, there were 2 people per household. And in 2031, it is expected to drop just a little bit to 1.9 people per household. And this is typical as populations populations age and family dynamics change. We are seeing that more housing is needed for fewer people. So looking at the age distribution in Area B, I'll just direct your attention to the green portions of these pie charts, and that is showing everyone over 64 years of age. So the population is aging. So as you can see, in 2016, 27% of the population was 65 years and older. Over 65 years and older, and that's and it's expected to be that that there will be 37% of the population age 65 years and older in 2026. This just has some implications, as folks in this age category tend to have some pretty specific housing needs. Often they're less able to manage larger properties and maintain older homes, and they also have some more of a need for supportive elements. This could be in-home nursing care, in-home meal care, or sometimes some fully supportive housing as well. So an older and aging population just has some ramifications on the type of housing stock that needs to be available. So moving on from age demographics to the cost of renting, we don't have any Area B specific data for this statistic, so we're using the Campbell River census data. This graph is showing the trend over the last 10 years, and as you can see, the average cost of rent has increased by 72%. That's between 2011 and 2021. And the greatest increase has been in the cost of rent for units with 3 or more bedrooms. It has increased by 111%. So this has huge implications for families trying to find housing. It is important to note that this data doesn't tell us anything about the condition or type of unit. Often poor condition units tend to be less expensive, and it doesn't differentiate between an apartment building or a single detached home either. So now to look at the cost of ownership, and we actually do have Area B specific data for cost of ownership. So between 2011 and 2020, the overall cost of a home in Area B increased by 165%. And for single detached homes, which is the main housing type in the area, this increase was 144%. So quite an increase, and in fact it is noted that the average price for a single detached home in 2020 reached about $800,000. There are also some manufactured homes in the area, and the cost for these has remained relatively stable. And just something to note, that the spike seen in 2013 is not representative of the overall trend in the graph. This can be considered an outlier. Sometimes this happens with smaller populations where a single sale or two of a home can have a drastic effect on a graph like this, but it's not indicative of the overall trend. So perhaps more helpful is actually to compare the cost of ownership with what the median income earner would actually afford in Area B. So we've made some basic mortgage assumptions about the purchasing power of the median income, and we've mapped it against the cost of the median home for the past 10 years. And we have adjusted for inflation in this graph. So as you can see, there's quite a discrepancy throughout the last 10 years in the cost of the average cost of a home, or the median cost of a home, and the median income. And in fact, in 2020, this discrepancy reached about $600,000. And this challenge is expected to just continue to get worse as housing challenges reverberate out from the Lower Mainland and the CRD areas. So both the cost of renting and cost of ownership kind of feed into a statistic called core housing need. And core housing need is, or an individual is considered to be in core housing need if they meet one of 3 criteria. So if they are either if they have unaffordable housing, if there is over occupancy, and if their home is in major need of repair. So as you can see from this graph here, renters are at much higher risk of housing insecurity or core housing need than owners are. However, to put it into a little bit more perspective, there are fewer renters than owners throughout the SRD, so that's something to consider. But still, percentage-wise, there are more renters experiencing higher core housing need, more core housing need than owners. And the other thing to note here is that Area B generally has higher rates of core housing need than other rural areas in the Strathcona Regional District. So now just looking at core housing need across different family types. So couples with or without children are experiencing less core housing need than singles are. And that is generally because couples tend to have two income earners in the family, whereas lone parents, for example, they're a single income earner and also have the added challenge of finding adequate housing or suitable housing, affordable housing with that limited income. And you also see core housing need among singles and roommates because this group kind of includes people who are just starting out in their careers. They kind of have a lower earning potential than people who are more established in their careers do. It also includes seniors or retired individuals who also don't have as high income. So in addition to the census data used for this study, we also did a housing survey, and to date we have received 412 responses. 33% of these responses have been from Electoral Area B, and I would just like to pull some of the key themes that we received from survey respondents. So about a quarter of respondents indicated that their current housing does not meet their needs. About 60% are worried about the cost of utilities. About 50% are worried about the cost to repair and maintain their home, and almost 40% are worried about their physical ability to maintain their home. And I think that last point really speaks to the aging population of the community. So I'd just like to read out a couple of quotes from Area B community members from the housing survey. We need less Airbnbs and more housing for our community members on Cortez. Many capable, hardworking people leave due to nowhere to live. And this concern around Airbnbs was really echoed by many other community members in both the survey and the interviews that we found. Another quote, "There is no available housing in our community. Unless my children remain at home with me or build another residence on my property, they will never be able to afford to buy a home on Cortez. And there are absolutely zero rental accommodations available." All right, next steps. So still to come for this study is some engagement analysis, synthesizing the draft report, reviewing it with staff, and we will be presenting to the board as well. If you would like to provide any of your own thoughts or perspectives on housing for the study, you can do so through the SRD website and by going to the web page, which is the link on this slide. Or for more information on the study, you can contact Meredith Starkey, who is the Manager of Planning and Parks with the SRD, or you can contact my colleague, Sandy Mackey, who is the Housing Research and Policy Lead here at Macola Development Services. I'd also just like to let you know about a concurrent study that is happening in the SRD. And it's a little bit different quite a bit different from our study actually. So while our study is looking at data and other indicators that we can use to compare across electoral areas, this study focuses on gathering stories of those facing housing insecurity, and it'll be in Campbell River or around the SRD. So if you live in the SRD and feel your home is not suitable or affordable, or if you're finding it difficult to access services, I'd really encourage you to fill out this survey. It'll really help the SRD to address housing insecurity. You can complete the survey at the link on the slide here, or you can find more information at the link on the slide as well. All right, so that is it for this presentation. I thank you very much for devoting your time to this presentation, and hopefully you learned something from it and found it interesting. Please, I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions, or for myself, both my email is on the screen as well as my colleague Sandy Mackey's. And you can, for more information on the project and to get any project updates, you can visit the link on the slide. Thank you so much.